There we go. Let's do this. Let's jump in. I know it's probably confusing, and you don't know where to start. You don't know, do I just jump in? What do I do? Yes. I don't know it's all the mechanics are there. All the information is there. Now it's on you to step into the foray. Step into the mosh pit. and dive into this. That's the only thing I can recommend, because there's too many things that could happen that are outside the scope of a lesson. And this is why it's impossible to really teach a Zettelkasten, because that's the journey. Do you know what I mean? I've brought you to this point where now you have to venture off down the paths that you're going to go. And you have a simple lightweight structure. You have a place to where it's going to live, and you have support. I'm going to walk through it with you. And so what I want to do right now is, let's take a look at the graph. And I love this. It's like someone is typing in a new permanent note as we speak. This is mind-blowing, by the way. Like, we're doing something that Rome Book Club 1 wasn't able to do. Rome Book Club 2 wasn't able to do. Because this is the first time that the Zettelkasten is talking back to us. And I mean that. And so we're literally on the frontiers of something. I don't know what it is. I mean, I know what it is. It's groundbreaking. And, after these 42 days, we're all going to be like sitting back in our chairs like, what was that? And we're not going to open up this shared graph, by the way, just because there's too much vulnerability, especially even in the abstractions of the fleeting notes. But what we're doing right now is groundbreaking. And this is coming from me. And everything that I've ventured off and learned about, this is groundbreaking. So be patient with the process. We're all in this together. And let's hit that critical mass. And let's do it together. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go through everyone's sort of what they've been working on and how they've structured permanent notes and everything like that. And what I'll do is I'll add timestamps with your name, and I guess I'll also add the general gist of what I'll be talking about, so that way people can skip around. That way you don't have to watch this entire 2-hour video. You can just skip around to the points where that are pertinent, because some people have it. Some people are just a little mixed up on where it lives, and some people we can expand upon. But I feel like because everyone's at a different pace, I still want to go through everyone's work. Just to watch the proper form and the technique, but you can skip around, I think the most important thing is you have all the tools. Now it's just time to build. Let's take a look. Okay, so I'm going to close this for now because it looks like he or she's typing into that right now. I'm going to go down. Okay. BART is working on his right now as well. Let's take a look at Lito. Okay, this is just a fleeting note. Again, I kind of want to go over the process one more time. So basically, you have your captured page, right? And I'll shift-click that into the sidebar. And what you want to do is, you don't want to do the work inside of your captured page. You want to bring this over. So what you do is, you create a new top-level parent block on the daily notes page, and then you do current time, and then make a child block underneath. And what you do is you drag the entire fleeting note that you've captured underneath like that. I'm going to delete this block. So now it's out of your captured page, and now it's living inside of the daily notes page. And again, just make sure that when you hover over it, it doesn't say anonymous, but actually has your display name. Go to the three dots here, user settings, and display name is going to be located there. Yeah, and then you want to work from here. And what I recommend is clicking on the bullet point, and then now you're in focus mode. And so that way, it doesn't matter what anyone else is writing, you're in this block and you're focused on this one block. And you can even focus even deeper, even just by going in here and then following the breadcrumbs back up, if that makes sense. I'm gonna go and bring this back, just so I just wanted to show you. Let me delete this, and let's just take a look. By the way, I'm going to have admin access on here. Let's take a look. Okay, so this is Lito. Again, this is just a fleeting note that's been captured that they haven't worked on yet. Let's take a look at this one. Let's see who this is. Okay, ESHAN. Let's take a look. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and zoom into the block, and I'm gonna expand. Let's take a look. Okay, this is great. So this looks like a screen capture. Let me close this. I'm just taking a look at your work here. I'm going to shift click that into the sidebar. And let's take a look. I'll zoom in a little bit more so everyone can see a little bit clearer. Okay, so I'm going to close this for now. Let's take a look at the fleeting notes. Excellent. So this is phenomenal. I mean, it's, again, as you get clearer and clearer, you can sort of, I mean, I prefer it because then you can follow the idea all the way up. True understanding can only come through connecting new ideas with other relevant ideas in your mind. Zettelkasten is what. This is perfect. Literature notes. I'm just going to read this real quick. Okay. So this is his, their abstraction on this in their own words, and then summarized at the top level parent block here. And then I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I'll shift click permanent notes into the sidebar, and let's take a look. So I love it. I mean, the structure is perfect here. Relevant notes are all there. Let's look for understanding. Where is this? Okay, perfect. It's right here. So if you check out the bullet points, it's learning. So this is the top level parent block, right? Top level parent block, learning, understanding. That makes sense. There's definitely a connection in between those. To learn more effectively, connect new ideas with familiar ideas in order to truly understand them. I'm going to get rid of your period. I don't need a period. I don't know. I just like having things look the same. To learn more effectively, perfect. So it goes learning, understanding. That's the sort of connection there. And then what they brought over was structure and working environment. I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so I can see everything in a snapshot here. Okay, just taking a look. Okay, so if I go to structure and look at the inline references, it's right there. Understanding structure, perfect. And then let's take a look at working environment. Understanding working environment, excellent. The reason everything's a little chunky here because I'll fix all this, but for now. That's one of the reasons. Well, like what we want is we want it where everything is looking the same, and like this. You see, you compare this to this, and I'm not highlighting Alexandra's work here. I'll walk through what's going on, but that's what we want. Even this, and this is why we only have the timestamp instead of like your name or anything else. It's really as top level block as we can, because also what happens is this. If I bring it in like that, you see how it turns into the Rome logo? And it's just, it's one of those things where you have to adapt to the application. And obviously the application, that's one of the limitations where, I'm not sure if they're going to fix this or not, but it's just one of the things that I've learned that you had to do, where you want to have it as close to the top level parent block or on the daily notes page. So this is why it's only the timestamp and then straight into relevant notes. You know, you got to work around what you can. This looks great. I'm going to close this, and yeah, reference note, everything's there. Excellent. Bravo. Let's go to the next one. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I'll leave a reaction. Let's do a specific reaction. That way we can sort of filter it out. Let's do, I don't know, I'm just picking one. I'm gonna do this one. What? What are you gonna do? Next. Still working on that one. Let's take a look at this. I'm gonna go ahead and delete these blocks. I know I had written to like do a separator, but I feel like it's gonna be easier if we just have it where it's not separated. It's just easier that way. That way all you see is timestamps. It is what it is. Okay, this one's mine. So let's take a look at this one. Let's take a look who started this. Oh, that's mine too. Never mind. Let's take a look at this one. And that one's mine too. Okay, well, I'll keep going. Alexandra. Okay, perfect. Let's take a look. Alexandra Westhoff. Let's take a look at what they were doing here. This looks great. What is this inline reference? Okay, this is going to her captured page. Or, okay. I'm just going to go to that page real quick. Let's just, okay, so what I see you doing is, let's just find which one this is, 1324. Okay, so obviously this is a block reference to this top level parent block. What I'm saying is that you don't need to, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Because I suppose you're doing this because you want to remember the notes that you captured. The reason that I'm doing it in this specific manner is because this is how I do it on my own personal graph. And so perfect practice is practicing it where it's exactly how you would play it if you're learning piano. You want to learn how to play it just like if you're playing at Carnegie Hall or for the performance, and that's the same idea. So what I typically do is I'll just bring the entire fleeting note and I'll bring that to the daily notes page, and then it doesn't really matter when it was captured because it's yeah. I mean, I'm just going to leave it because it doesn't affect anything. I think what you're trying to do is have a record of all the sort of permanent notes that you've created, I presume. Because there is no way to really filter that in this shared graph because I don't have your name at the top level parent block here or anything like that. Let me just see here. These are all references? No. This is text. So it's double text. So what happens if I search for Ryan Holiday twice? See, it comes out twice. So that's the only bad part though. Because what happens, and then if you make this into a block reference, it's no good either because you don't want to have all this block referenced. So the only problem is when you when you pasted this text, now you have a duplicate of that text. I mean, I don't see a problem with it, but what I would recommend would be this. You don't need all these notes, right? I'm going to delete these. Yeah. And now all you have is this. This block reference references this entire, because this is the top level parent block. You block reference that, and obviously, look, that's the block reference right there, right? And this is this block reference, copy block reference, that's that one right there. And so if you want to just have a log of, say, completed sort of permanent notes, you can just have that there. Maybe even have it where, I got an idea. Maybe something like that. And then let me know if you want me to delete this just because I'm making this on your captured page. But maybe just have completed underneath. And you can do the date and then just bring over that top level parent block timestamp block reference, and then everything is inside of here. Like all you need is this one block because that is going to jump you to this entire page, if that makes sense. So you don't need to have the duplicate text. And this doesn't get in the way of anything because that's all it is the timestamp. Perfect. Let me just take a look here. Okay, this is fantastic, fantastic work. I mean, this is what I love about all this. Oh, by the way, we don't need to do all the coloring anymore. I feel like everyone understands it. The coloring was just sort of training wheels. I mean, you don't have to do this anymore. And I mean, unless you want to, I don't know. The only reason that I would recommend not doing the color anymore is because when we start jumping into people's notes, or when we start like connecting these notes, the color takes away from the focus. It adds a little bit of friction because our eyes go to the color. But when we're traversing the Zettelkasten, we don't want to see color. We just want to see the notes. We want to know where these notes are going to lead. And that would be my only reason why I would say we don't need these 5th pass, 4th pass hashtags anymore. And this looks great. I'm going to close this out here. And I'm going to shift-click permanent notes, and let's take a look at the location of this. Motivation. Oh, again, reference note, motivation. What is this? Let me take a look at Alexandra. So I'm going to shift-click this into the sidebar. And okay, so it's a readwise. It looks like it's a readwise. What I would do would be, because you have the location right here, which is going to give you to the link to your Readwise account, I presume, right? And I think this information right here would be better at the top level parent block. Because it looks like this top level parent block is just to this block reference, I presume, or wherever motivation is. Let's just take a look at where this goes. So this is going to, where is this? Okay, so it's going to motivation, reference note, motivation. So it's, I don't know where this is going. Let's take a look again. I'm going to shift click on that into the sidebar. Where is this? Oh, it's okay, so I see what you did. So basically this block reference, let me just take a look. Yes, it's the same thing. Okay, so what you did was you're block referencing this block right here, and what I'm saying is, see this address? I would say, I don't think you need this either. Let's call this readwise link, right? Or URL, readwise URL, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this because you don't need the block reference here. Let me fix that. Uh-oh. Okay. So now it's waiting for that. So what I'll do is this. See this information? I'm going to cut that. I'm going to put that in here. No, that didn't work. Oops. There we go. And so now this is going to link straight to your Readwise. So what you want is you want to have the source at the top level parent block that if you click on it, it's going to open up a new window so you can get exactly to where you want to go. So you keep all the URLs or the block references to something like if you have the book in your graph, then you can block reference that and then put the block reference in here instead of the URL. But you want the URL at the top level block because if this is closed, you want to just quickly, what's the most important information that you want? You want to get straight to the source. So you want to go straight to the URL. And then if you want to dig in a little bit deeper, you can open this up and then you can have the text or whatever that looks like. And I'm going to go and delete this, by the way. If that makes sense. And then, yeah, this is great. Ryan Holiday, the obstacle is the way. I mean, you could even have this here. Instead of Readwise URL, you could have Ryan Holiday. The thing is, I changed the block, so just let me know. I don't know how am I gonna leave a comment in the YouTube video. I'll just check it here, and I'll or you can just copy the block. I don't know. Just DM me if you want to change this Readwise URL. I know it's kind of difficult. Or I might just keep open share settings on for now. So yeah, you want the information right here at the top. I'm going to close this down and let's close this. Let's open this one more time. Sorry. Boom, boom, boom. You see? And then you have all the information right there. And if you want to expand things out, you can. And I'm going to shift click permanent notes. Let's take a look at the location here. Okay, motivation. Oh, see the CSS here? If you just do, instead of hashtag here, if you do double brackets, it's going to lead to the same place, but what happens is it changes the CSS. So the CSS is going to show you whether you did it correctly or not. Again, it leads to the exact same place, and the index actually has the hashtag, so it's kind of confusing, I know, but there's no other way to get that CSS to show up like that, which is helpful when you go into something like this where it looks like, oh, it looks like a button, and I intentionally did that so it makes it look like a button aesthetically. Okay, so let's take a look. Motivation. I see motivation. I don't know what happened here. What is this? Okay, Glenn's working. Okay, so right here. Perfect. Habits and stacked habits can replace motivation to create the eternal perfect moment to start. I agree. I'm going to delete the period. Perfect. And it looks like you brought over structure, fear, decision-making, and working environment. So you go motivation, structure, motivation, fear, motivation, decision-making, motivation, working environment. What I love is that you also did like the antonyms, you know, and that's what I recommend. You want to be able to stumble upon this permanent note in the future. So how do you do that? You connect all the things that have any sort of relationship. And I go to fear here, and I go fear, motivation, fear, happiness, fear, control, fear. I don't know why fear is here, but do you know what I'm saying? Choo-choo train. There we go. So I love that, and it's just, you know, you can bring over 20 of them, 20 linked references. You can bring over 20 of them, and it doesn't matter because it's in the block. It's all hidden behind that block. So I love it. This is fantastic. Excellent. I'm kind of wondering why is fear showing up twice? I'll dive into that later. Let's go to the next one. I'm gonna do my. I almost feel like if I do this emoji, that means I've already sort of looked at it. And I'll close that out. Excellent. Let's take a look at this one. Sylvia, let's take a look. Okay, I think she's still working on this. Okay, working on the literature notes. Okay, she's still working on this one, so I'll pass this one for now. Let's take a look at this one. Carol. Okay, let's take a look, Carol. I'm going to zoom into the block, and let's expand out the fleeting notes here. Oh, it looks like you, oh, okay, I see what you did here. Okay, so Carol, what you did was you brought over everything as a block reference. Let's just go to that block in the sidebar just so I know what I'm looking at, and it looks like, okay, you're in the captured page. Okay, I get what you did here. So let's just take a look at, make sure that I'm going to close this for a second. Okay, context. I see what you did here. So what you want to do is you want to bring, I'm going to go and you already have all your work here. I'm going to delete all this. Okay? Because what you want to do is you want to bring this information over here. You see what I did? And then it's out of this list. See, you don't want this list. This list is just a place, it's just a holding, it's a place to hold your fleeting notes. And it's just when you're ready to work, you can work on it. But when you're ready to work, you drag it into the daily notes page, right? You drag it in here underneath the timestamp. And now, because it doesn't matter when you captured it, it's about when you start processing it and taking it into a permanent note. That's the point that matters. And that the sort of timestamp gives you that sort of first push of the snowball down the hill. And so if you want, you can block reference this, and you can have it here just to show you that this is your permanent note if you want to somehow, if for some reason, log that. But I'll leave that up to you. But does that make sense? So you're just going to bring it all over here, and then you work out of the daily notes page. This page is just a place to hold it. It's just a place to hold the fleeting notes. And yes, because that way, that's the best way to explain it. It's just going to be a place where you hold it and then you drag it all the way over. So the next one, you just drag that into the daily notes page when you're ready to work on it. Don't work on it in here, right? You work on it inside the daily notes page, if that makes sense. Here is just a place to have your fleeting notes and they live there and that's cool. And so basically it's this whole idea of when you're ready to work, it's there waiting for you. But when you don't want to work on it, it's just there, if that makes sense. It's the hammock idea. So I'm going to go and close this again, and now it's inside here, right? And I'm going to go and zoom into the block by clicking on the bullet points just so I can see what's going on here. Again, the same thing. You don't have to necessarily do these colors anymore, just because it gets in the way once we start building this out, and the colors were meant to just show and guide you along. But now, if we're going to start diving into all these fleeting, like all these permanent notes and the connection. Once we start traversing the Zettelkasten, the colors are gonna distract us from just focusing on what's the next thing that's gonna pop out at me, if that makes sense. I know it's like a little bit of friction of it does something, because anytime anything takes away from our attention, it stops us from focusing on the traversing of all these notes. And that's what we want to do. We want to get to that point where we can just traverse. And I might just go ahead and delete all these, but just moving forward, you don't have to do the first pass, second pass, third pass anymore. Let's just take a look. This is fantastic. Fantastic work, by the way. I mean, you completely understand it. Let's take a look at this here. Okay, I just want to take a look at this block. Okay, so chapter 6 and then paragraph 7. Oh, okay, I see what you did here. Perfect. I'm going to shift click on that. Perfect. Phenomenal. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. I mean, I actually would have done like hyphen, like chapter 6, simplicity is paramount, hyphen paragraph 7, and then just not had a link to the page, to the chapter itself, but it's fine. I don't think it matters. So instead of having this page and this page with two different links, I guess it's fine. And then you also do the block reference here, it seems like, yeah? Just double check. Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, and I'm glad that you have this here too, because this is really what matters most. And even though you do a double block reference here, and it's going to show up twice, it looks like. 1 and 2, yeah, it shows up twice. It doesn't matter, you know, because that's not the Zettelkasten. All that is just sort of, none of that is important as the block references in the Zettelkasten. So basically you have two different links of the same paragraph, but I'd much rather have that than not have this at the top level. This is what matters most, right? And if this is the exact, let me just close this real quick. So this is the exact same thing as this. So if I shift click on that, it's going to be the exact same thing. But I don't mind that at all, just as long as this one is here. Because this is the most important. This is the actual source. And if it wasn't a block reference, it would be a URL. So phenomenal job on that. Let's go and close this. Okay, perfect. Let's take a look at the literature notes. It's great. Same thing. Excellent. In your own words. Perfect. And then let's go and shift click on permanent notes. Take a look at the permanent notes page. Okay. I see it right here. I'm going to get rid of the period. We don't need periods. Okay. The reason I'm not doing periods is because it's just keep it as simple as possible. This one has a period too, but what are you gonna do? Just do my best to keep it congruent, but I don't know. Okay, first things first, relevant notes. Instead of the hashtag, I know this is a little confusing, but instead of the hashtag, like instead of this hashtag, if I change it to double brackets, the page, it's going to lead to the same thing, but the CSS is showing now. And the reason for that is because if I click on this, it's like you want it to look like a button. I don't know. I mean, for me, it's just that simplicity of you look at it and you know exactly what it is. And there's a sort of consistency around it all. And unfortunately, the CSS just doesn't capture it with the hashtag here in front. You see how it turns gray instead of turning into that color? So I know it's sort of confusing because we use the index with the hashtag here, but that's because we want it to be differentiated from the permanent node itself. So it says context, structural context, which this is perfect. Now, my question is, I want to know when this was created, because this might have been created this might have been one of the early ones, and I think it is. I'm going to go ahead and add relevant notes, right? But I know that when you were doing it, there wasn't that much. But context, I'm just going to start from the bottom of the list here. Happiness context, I don't know. Fear context, understanding context. Let's bring that over, right? Frailty context, control context, context control, context and decision making. I'm going to bring that over as well. Learning context, simple context, algorithm, influence context, motivation context, working environment context, pursuit context. I think that's good. And the reason that I'm taking, like, these are, like, if I close this down, right? So context is right here on this block, on this sort of branch. The thing is, learning and, let's say, understanding. Learning understanding is a completely different branch. And so what I do is now, if I connect this with this branch by looking at the linked references, this is what the Zettelkasten communication partner that they're talking about is, because now you have a thread of conversation going down here, and then you have another thread of conversation going down here. And what you've done is you've connected these two things that would not have been otherwise connected. And this is why it's a bottom-up structure. It's not a top-down structure. I hope that makes sense. So again, all I did was I think when you were making this note, Carol, there wasn't as many permanent notes, but really the power is in holding Option or Alt and then dragging that over underneath relevant notes, so it's a sibling block of permanent notes, right? So they're all the same, you see? And then bring over the block references, and that's really, this is where the communication's happening. This is really the power of the Zettelkasten. Yeah, I'm just gonna let you practice that for tomorrow. This looks great. Excellent. I'm gonna go ahead and close this, and let's go back. Let me add my reaction here. Boom. Okay, just shows you that I'm done. Christian Ramon. Okay, let's take a look. I'm going to zoom into the block so I can take a look. Okay, so this is great. So I'm going to open that in the sidebar. Okay, this is a link to the actual book itself, and I understand what you did. That's fine. I mean, you have the page. If you could, oh, look, you did it too. This is perfect. Excellent. Just like I told everyone else, you don't have to do these first pass hashtags anymore, or the colors. If anything, they're going to start getting in the way when we're sort of traversing through the Zettelkasten. So if you want to use them, that's fine, but I prefer that we stop using these. I don't think you need it either. I mean, you completely understand it. You completely understand the structure. Taking things for granted and boredom are our happiness's enemies. This is great. Perfect. Let's open up the permanent notes page. Let's take a look. Happiness. Let's take a look. Perfect. So you have it on you have a top level parent block. And it's great because there was no other conversation. I don't know what this one is. Why don't you have a Glenn? You need to add a hashtag. This is great because there's no other conversation that's talking about happiness. I mean, you had no other. Let me go and collapse this. Watch. You had no other place where it would fit. Happiness, fear, happiness, learning, happiness, structure, happiness, writing. No, it didn't really fit anywhere else. So you had no other choice, and you did the right thing. The best place was to be a brand new parent level block. Fantastic. And now let's take a look at your fear and happiness. I love that. I love how you attached fear and happiness. I mean, it's like the antonyms. It's like you want to connect it in any way possible to other things, because this is where the conversations are happening. This is when you know, 6 months later when you've completely forgotten about this note, you can still stumble upon this. Let's just take a look. Let's just see if there's anything else we can add to this, right? How about understanding happiness? I mean, I see a connection, right? Learning happiness, I'm just going to add that. Why not? Pursuit of happiness, I mean, that, come on, that one's phenomenal. That's great. Again, they're all on the same block as this permanent note. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see how it's all there? But these are just the block references. You see? Perfect. And then now it's like when I go to pursuit, guess what I see? Pursuit of happiness, right? And then I click on this and it has all your notes there. And this is why I was talking about like having that first pass. It gets in the way because all you really want is to see this. This is the highlight that Roam does automatically. And the colors, like these colors, if I got rid of this, like watch. You see how it's so much cleaner? Now it's like I know exactly what I'm looking for, right? The most important things that I see is highlighted in yellow and then highlighted in blue. That's all you want. Very simple. Because then you can keep going. You can see it sort of read and take a look. But the thing is, if you see green, you're like, oh, well, this, I have to look at this now, you know? But you don't have to. It's like your structure is perfect. You completely understand it. And this is great. Let's keep going. I'm going to go ahead and do my little, where is it? Add my reaction. Boom. That just means that it's done. Perfect. Let's keep going. Okay, Christian, you have another one? Let's take a look. I'm going to zoom into the block. Same thing. I'm just going to get rid of this for now for you, okay? I'm not sure if you're going to be able to edit this block anymore, but I'll just keep edit access open then. That way you can figure it out. Okay, this is great. This is taking you to the link. Perfect. Fleeting notes. I love how by the time you got to here, I love it because you did all this work. By the time you got to here, it was like it was easy. You already explained everything you needed to explain down here. These were all the fast-moving thoughts, and you captured it all. And by the time you brought it up to literature notes, guess what? It was already slowed down. There wasn't much else you needed to sort of wring out of it. This is great. Let's go ahead and take a look at the permanent notes, see where it goes. I'm going to close this so I can take a look. Okay, control. Okay, learning. Let's just take a look. Learning, decision-making, control. Controlling the decision-making of learning. Learning, decision-making takes control. Like I see the connection. It's like bunny, carrot, you know what I mean? Hole, you know what I mean? Bunny, rabbit, carrot, farm, tree, grass, right? It's like, as long as there's a thematic connection, that's all that matters. Because it doesn't matter where you put the note. What matters is what notes you connect to this note. Let's just take a look. This is great, right? And I love this. Let's see what you did. Fear, control happiness, control pursuit. Yeah, this is great. I don't have anything else to say. As we build out these notes here, you'll have more things to sort of add in regards to sort of things. And you see, you already see a cluster. See these right here? These are clusters. That means pursuit obviously has a cluster of. So basically, this is trippy. Some notes only have 1, some have 2, 6. This basically means that as a group, what we're thinking about more than anything else is pursuit. And it makes sense because if you look at, remember a couple of weeks ago with the Roam portal, with Darm's Roam portal, what was the number one word in the entire shared graph? It was want. And so it only makes sense that pursuit, want and pursuit, like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? It only makes sense that there's a cluster happening at pursuit. And you know what I love? Look at this. Fear and structure. That's the second cluster that's already starting to form. So basically what our Zettelkasten is telling us is, as a group, we're on the pursuit of fear and structure. We're in the pursuit of figuring out how we can overcome this fear of structure. Does that make sense? It's like these are the clustering. Now, traditionally, clustering happened by how many levels deep notes would go, right? And so you'll notice, like, okay, so fear only has 1 level deep here, right? Learning has 3 level deeps here, right? That's the traditional way of clustering. With Rome and Zettelkasten and Rome, you have 2 levels of clustering, which is unheard of. And I hope that makes sense, because over time, these clusters are going to show, the clusters in the linked references are going to show you what we're thinking about, what we're learning more about. And easily, if I have like a long thread of conversations here, that's going to be 1 level of clustering, but the second level of clustering is the actual relevant notes. You can't do that. You cannot do that in the physical Zettelkasten. It's impossible. No one has even thought about this. Okay? It's impossible to do that in the physical Zettelkasten. To see the clustering of the relevant notes? No. Why? Because it's on a single note. It's on an index card. You can't see the clustering of these index cards with the relevant notes, if that makes sense. But how it works in Rome with the granularity of the block, you have 2 levels of clustering. This is like huge, by the way. And if you think about this, like, just think. We have a cluster around pursuit, and we have a second clustering around fear and structure, right? Because we're scared. We're scared. We're scared to venture down this path again. And what we're doing right now is we're figuring out a lightweight structure. All of that is congruent to what, as a group, we've been thinking. And if you don't believe it yet, see what happens tomorrow. Let's see what the clusters, take a look at the clusters here. Let's see what the clusters look like tomorrow. And then the day after that, and the day after that. Let's see which clusters are building. Because the crazy thing is that this curls inwards. So the more the notes that we add, the more it's literally instantaneous. It shows us our thinking instantaneously. I digress. Okay, this looks fantastic. I'm going to go and do my emoji here. Let's jump back out. Let's close this out. And let's take a look. Okay, this is Christian as well. I just want to take one more look. Let's take a look at this permanent notes. This is influence. Let's take a look. Perfect. Then I'm just going to follow the block down. So structure, working environment, influence. The influence structure has a working environment that is influenced. I mean, is it the strongest? Working environment influence. I don't think influence is the right word. Well, I read the permanent note, it works. Structure, working environment, influence. Sure, I'm just going to leave it. I don't want to get too, like, OCD on this. I mean, it's a group Zettelkasten. I don't want to get in the way. Control, decision-making, pursuit of influence, learning influence. Let's do learning. I'm going to bring over learning as well. Learning influence, right? I feel like that's important. Understanding influence. I feel like that's good. That's fine. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to let you add more if you want. And by the way, you don't want to go back to the permanent notes. It's like you leave it where it is. And if there's only 2 linked references, like if there's only 2 here, it just means that at the time there was only 2 connections. But as you keep building it out, the connections will compound, if that makes sense. So you can't go back to when it was only you know, 16 cents, 35 cents, and 30, you know what I mean? $1, $2. It's like, it's not about going backwards. It's about looking forward and allowing these notes to compound, because every note is going to compound from this permanent note, if that makes sense. Hope I explained that right. Okay, let's close this out. Let's keep going. Okay, Wilbert. How many more do I have? Dude, that's a lot. Let's just keep going. Zoom into this. I am going to delete this. Again, the reason that I do this is because, watch, look what happens when I go to structure here. You see how it messes up the flow? Again, what we want is we want a frictionless working environment. And it's jagged and it throws us off. So if there was one convention, it would be that. Don't have anything on your timestamp block. I'm just going to go and delete this for now. And see, look how it changed. Now it's beautiful. See? That compared to that. This is perfect. Same thing. The colors, we probably don't need the colors anymore. Just because if I open this up, right, it's like, whoa, there's so much going on, right? But what happens if I open, same thing. There's so much going on. So much going on. But then you go something like this, and it's like what we want to do is we want to just, we only want to see the pertinent information, right? So let me close this again. If I hit this one button, right, it gives me the highlight for where structure, right, was linked, and it shows me in blue the permanent note that for undertaking, if that makes sense. Okay, and this is the most pertinent information that we need. That's all we care about when we're traversing the Zettelkasten. We don't want all of this. This is going to take my focus away. It's the colors. It's going to take my focus away. And when you're traversing, you want to be fast. You want to find all the connections so you can just get into these notes. And if you want to dive in deeper, you can, right? But if you don't need to, you don't need to. But the colors are going to sort of like take us away. Again, I didn't really say anything because everyone was still learning, but obviously you already know what to do here. Like, you have it down. This is great. I mean, you can just, I actually moved this over for you while you were doing it last night. I don't know what this is. Connection logic for relevant notes. It doesn't matter. Just bring them all over. If I understand this correctly. Structure, simple, right? Let's just take a look. Structure, simple, right? This is the permanent note, simple. And what it could have been. Structure, simple, pursuit. Structure, simple, pursuit. Yeah, you can bring over, the thing is, if you want to do this where you want to connect simple and pursuit, right? You could even do simple and motivation, which is a completely different thread, right? But the idea is simple, let's do that. Simple, you see pursuit here? I bring that over, and now it's connected. Now it's exactly connected how you have it. And what I would do is I actually wouldn't, where is this? Simple structure. You see how this is the parent level block? You don't need that because it's already connected. Does that make sense? If it's on the same branch, then you don't need to connect it. So let's get rid of structure here. And what you want to do is you want to connect all the things that are the furthest away, because that's where the insight is going to happen. If I can relate artificial intelligence with the craft of acting, with juggling, that's where the insight happens, when I can connect things that are the furthest away, right? And so when I think of simple, just looking at the index, I go simple, well, it's simple structure, right? That's the actual branch. But you want to connect this to branches that are completely far off. So simple, as far away from simple as you can, right? And so we'll go to simple working environment, right? That's a completely different branch. I'll bring that over. Holding Option or Alt. Simple pursuit, already got that. Let's go simple decision making. This is, by the way, look at this. Look where it's located. It's completely different. It's on a completely different branch's structure, right? But all I need to do is drag over this block reference by holding Alt or Option, drag that over, and then it's connected now. And it's basically this, these little dotted lines. What you've done is you've made a dotted line to like a branch over here, if that makes sense. You don't need this branch because this branch already, because you don't need to do a linked reference. You don't need to Alt drag over structure because it's already there, if that makes sense. That's already inherent in the branch. You want to get all the branches that are not connected. So context, pursuit, working environment, motivation, anything over here, fear, understanding, right? Let's just go to simple happiness. Why not? Bring that over. Look, and here's the thing. It's the beauty of it is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you put down here, right? I'm going to bring these over, by the way, just so it's under your fleeting notes. I'm just going to bring this over to here, right? That's fine. I hope you can find it. Because that way it's all you want is this, the simplicity right there. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Look at that. Pursuit is just banging on here. Other than that, it looks fantastic. Great work. I'm going to add my little emoji. Bonk. Okay, excellent. Let's keep going. Okay, who's this? Alan! Yes, Alan. Okay, let's go into the block. Let's take a look. I'm going to close this out for a second. I love this. Yeah, and I love how you didn't have to use the hashtags for first pass, second pass anymore. This is great. You can follow all this up. I mean, this shows you how you came to your thought. And I love how, like, yeah, some of them you didn't have to expand on. You know what I mean? Some of them you don't have to. It's just following the ones that are interesting and that you want to sort of expand on. This, I love that. I love those moments when you sort of stumble upon something and you write something down. You're like, that was like, where did this come from? Those are the aha moments. Boom, perfect. Let's just take a look here. Perfect work. Look, it goes straight to the URL. It goes straight to the block, right? It goes straight to the block reference. Excellent work. And it has the note there. Close that out. Perfect. Everyone writes. Perfect. All of this leads up into the literature note. Perfect. Let's go down and open this. Okay. The question that you had was you wanted to put writing on top of structure, right? Now, I love that you're pushing the limits of this. And I remember when I was first coaching Andy Henson, he wanted to do the same thing. And it was a question of why? Because, like, we need to think about this, right? A Zettelkasten is not an archive of notes. It's not about completeness. It's not about having everything in the exact right place. It's about adding notes to conversations that are already going and then connecting it to conversations that you've had previously. And so what you were attempting to do was top down again, which is what we all do. I mean, that's what we do. I mean, how long have we been training ourselves to do top down? Everything we learn, it's like anything you learn, it's always taught from this top down structure. But what we're doing is a bottom up structure, which is emergent, divergent to converge, right? And so it could live on top of structure, right? But what you can do is Option, copy this block reference, and have it linked to structure. And that's what we want to do. Option, Alt, drag. Option, Alt, drag that in, right? Let me just delete this. And then for some reason you have 1, 2, 3. Well, that's smart, actually. That's actually really smart. Because that way it shows me exactly how many children there are. That's actually really smart. And so that's why you don't want to go back to a parent level block, right? Because we're not looking for, how do you call this? We're not looking to have it organized. We're looking to have insight, and the organization happens automatically. And so what I mean by that, it's almost like, the best way to explain it is this, okay? It's almost like when you start writing in Rome, right? And you're writing, and it's like, this is organized. In a weird way, this is automatically organized through the indentions, right? And it's the same thing with this. It's if I collapse this, it's automatically organized. Structure. I have four children blocks underneath structure, right? I've got 3 children blocks underneath working environment, right? And so where would this note best fit? And if you think it fits at the very top, the question is, well, how can you look back at your fleeting and literature notes how can you look back at your fleeting and literature notes that you did, and before you write this permanent note, you're looking back at what you've already written. And from these abstractions, you look back at this and you go, where does it fit? What's the conversation that I can continue? Because maybe it can you could have written anything. Like I showed you in the other video, it's like I can write anything to be a permanent note. It's just, which conversation do I want to continue? And anywhere else where it could fit, you just drag over the block references underneath relevant notes. And now it's connected. You see? Context writing. And that's all we want to do. That's the conversation. That's what this is all about. It's not about notes. And this is what I don't understand when people talk about, Zettelkasten. It's like they think it's like collections. It's not collections, it's connections. The notes don't matter. It's that moment when you could stumble upon a note that is related to a note that you would never have thought to connect. And the moment that happens, insight, it's creativity. That's what creation is. You're creating a new idea from the connection and colliding of ideas. And if I can think, what did Einstein do? Einstein was looking through a window, and he just saw the glimmer of light coming through, and he asked a different question because he was relating it something with how light travels and bends. And what he did was he had 2 different ideas, and they came together. The insight. And it's sort of like the creative process. The creative process is sort of, you have these 2 different ideas and you mash them together. It's the remix. It's the remixes of ideas. It's the orgy of ideas. It's the sex of ideas. And what happens is the offspring of that is insight. But you have to be able to connect it. It's not a collection. Right? Because you can have a conference with 1,000 people, but if they're not interacting at that level where the ideas are smashing together, that's the connection. That's what we're doing. I hope that makes sense. But I love that you asked this because it's a question that I ask myself as well. It's like, well, why wouldn't I just start a new one? It's like, oh, because it doesn't matter where it goes. This note it doesn't matter where the note goes. It's a matter of what's it connected to. That's all that matters. At the end of all of this, anything we write doesn't matter. It's how it's connected to what it is. I mean, it does matter. Like, of course, you got to take the time and do the notes, but then it's like, it's the connections. That's everything. That's what a Zettelkasten is. That's the communication. So I see it here at the top. You could probably fit it anywhere, but it looks like we're just going to keep it at the top. Why not? Right? And we'll let people add on top of this. Let's just take a look here. Writing, learning, writing context, writing structure. I think I added this one. Let's go and get rid of this. Let's go writing. Let's start from the bottom here. Writing happiness. Why not? Can you think of a connection? I'm just gonna bring it over. What are you gonna do? I'd rather have more than less. I don't know what this one is. Writing fear. Oh, look at that. That's great too. I'll add that too. Fear and happiness. Look at that. I connected writing, this permanent note that you did, with fear and happiness. Look at that. Fear, writing. I love that. Fear, happiness, writing. You know what I mean? I love that. I don't know why fear is showing up twice, by the way. Let's just take a look. I don't know why this is showing up twice. This is weird. Whose note is it? This is mine, isn't it? This is Glenn. Okay, Glenn. I'll talk to you about that in a second. But anyways, this is great. Phenomenal work. Let's just see if there's anything else. Writing. I love the power of the index too, because I don't have to read the whole permanent note. Like what happens, like even now, this is a lot to read through. I don't want to read through all this. But this is, by the way, the spaced repetition. But if I need to read more about it, I can, but it's quickly adding these things in, right? Quickly connecting these ideas. Writing, learning. Writing simple. Simple writing. Let's add that too. Boom, why not? Simple algorithm, simple influence, or writing motivation. Let's bring that over, why not? Right? Writing, working environment, pursuit of writing, right? Pursuit of writing, why not? Let's add it in there. You see how this one was great. This is a fantastic note. It probably belonged on the top because look how much it's connected to. And it's connected to structure. That's the best part. And it's connected to the note that you wanted to connect it to. I hope I was clear on that. Great work, by the way. This is all phenomenal. Let's go back. Let's take a look. Okay, let's close that out. Oh, actually, let's take a look at this. Okay, this is Glenn. Okay, let's take a look at this one, and then I'll go back up to the top. Any of the ones that I missed. Okay, let's take a look. Okay. Okay, so this, this is the actual, perfect, I love this. This is the actual URL, great work. The only thing is, I mean, see, Yina had the same question. She was like, well, you know, can I just abstract out a large paragraph? And I go, yeah, I don't know, try it. You know, this is all collapsed underneath the block, you know, as long as it makes sense to you. I mean, I personally prefer to have a very focused sort of paragraph or a sentence. Usually it's a sentence that I highlight, and then it's reading the paragraph above it and the paragraph below it to give me context, and then I just sort of abstract out from that. But obviously, if the whole paragraph, if all of these highlights resonated with you, then why not? Just take a look. I mean, this is great. I mean, you did all the abstractions. Perfect. Shows you how you got to the note. Excellent. Yeah, I don't see why you can't. Let's shift click on permanent notes in the sidebar. And yours was fear. Okay, so this is the thing. So if you brought your own linked reference inside to the here, right? It looks like. Yeah. So we don't need this. You don't need to link it because it's already the note. What you want to do is you want to link all the notes that are related to this one that you came up with. Well, let's just take a look. So you had fear. Wait a second. Oh, I see what you did. Okay, you attempted to use fear twice. Okay, so what you want to do is before you even write this out, you want to first look at where it fits best. From all this information here, you look at where it fits best in the Zettelkasten, right? And obviously, let me just read this real quick. So obviously, you thought the best place to fit it would be underneath fear, here, right? But the thing is, before you make this note, you have to have the hashtag first. This is the index note. So you do this first because this is going to connect this to this, right? And let's go fear. I think it's facing. Facing fear. Does that make sense? So now it's how the conversation goes. It goes fear and then facing fear, if that makes sense. And then after you do the index, then you paste in the permanent note, right? And then here, instead of fear, let's do facing fear. You see what I did? Right? And then you don't have to add fear to this because it's on the same branch. Does that make sense? Because it's the parent block. Like if it goes up to the parent, then you don't really need it. You want to relate this to all the places that are the furthest away. Does this make sense, by the way, for facing fear? So basically, you look at fear, you look at where it would fit best, right? From all the different. So I would collapse everything, right? And I would look at it, and from this, before you even write any of this, before you write the permanent note or the index, you look at where it would fit best, and then you would go, oh, okay, well, I think it would fit here. And then obviously this wasn't here. Oops, what are you doing? Okay, so obviously this wasn't here. I'm going to cut this. Oh shit. I'm going to cut this, right? And so now it's like, okay, you have this new, so before this is like, this is not, pretend this isn't here, right? So all you have is this, and this, right? You have the reference, literature, and fleeting notes. And I feel like I'm yelling at everybody. My mouth is dry. You have the fleeting notes, you have the literature notes, and you have the reference notes. Then you look at your permanent notes. So basically you start here. Once you get all these done, you shift click on permanent notes before you write any of this. And then you go, where does it, I'll collapse everything if I need to. If I have too many, I'll just collapse everything. These are all the parent level conversations, right? And you go, where would this new idea, what conversation do I want to continue? It could fit under learning. It could, right? But I feel like the best place it would fit, let's go and expand everything real quick. And I feel like the best place it would fit would be fear, right here. But it wouldn't be, and then I would do tab, and so now this is connected. So it goes fear, blank, fear, facing fear, right? And then after I do facing fear, then I write this, from this and this, I write this. If that makes sense. And if you did this right, if you did the index right, this would automatically be connected as well. If the thumbnails are congruent, then the high resolution whole picture will be congruent as well. The permanent notes will be congruent. And now after you do this, this is when you, before you close this out, now you go back through the entire Zettelkasten and you start making your connections. And I'll usually start from the top or the bottom, wherever the furthest place is, and I'll just going facing fear of writing. I'm going to Alt or Option drag that in here. And now I've connected writing with facing fear, right? And I'll just keep going. And all I'm doing is looking at the hashtag, which is the index note. It's just going to show you what the permanent note's about. But I just want to be quick. Like I have 20 notes already. I don't want to read all these notes. No, I want to go to the next permanent note. And what happens if you have 200 of these notes? There's no way you can read all of this, all of these permanent notes. But the index will give you a quick reference, quick thumbnail of what's inside. And if you can just connect all those real quick, then you can go on to the next. Let's go facing fear, context, facing fear pursuit, facing fear trust, facing fear motivation. Let's do that. That sounds like a connection. Facing fear simple, facing fear learning, facing fear decision making. Perfect. I think that fits for sure. Decision making, facing fear, right? Understanding, let's connect that. Uh-oh. Understanding, let's connect that. Why not? Right? And then happiness, let's add happiness as well. And it doesn't matter where you put it. But do you see how these are all different? So this is one branch, right? Look at the CSS. This is one branch. All these are other branches, right? And if you can connect these different branches to this branch, then what happens is magic. I don't know what happened to my computer. Is it still recording? Yeah, it's an hour and a half. Jeez, 11 gigs. But that's the magic. This is the magic. And look at this. Let's take a look now. I want to take a look at what. So pursuit is still heavy in the lead, right? Decision making is the new one that's coming up ahead. Look at this. Clusters. Fear is down to 4. Working environment's 4. Structure. So it's Pursuit, decision-making, structure. The pursuit of decision-making structure. This is great. And the best part about it is you're not actually making any decisions anymore. You know exactly where it goes. Let's go and knock this out. My little emoji saying that it's done. Great work. Great work, Glenn. Let's keep on. And you know what? I think I'm going to end it there. I think Carol's going here. I'm going to end it there. And I think I hit everyone that I needed to. Let's just take a double check. Carol, I went through yours. And GR, BART. Let me just take a look real quick. All right, let's take a look, BART. This one's still working, so I'll skip that one. And I'll do the last one here. This one's still working as well. I'm going to focus into this block. I like how you did that here, but what's going to happen is, let me go into permanent notes real quick. I'm just going to add writing to it, right? What happens is this, though, Bart, is because you have this at the top level parent block now, what happens is it turns into this instead of seeing it, if that makes sense. And no matter how wide I bring it out, you see what I'm saying? Like what you want is something like this, where everything is there, and with one click I can click into it, you know? With this, I don't know what the relevant node is. And this is just this is a problem with Rome's application, right? But you see what I'm doing here? It takes 2 clicks. It's too much work. So let's just, and again, if I hover over the name, it shows you your name. Or you can just copy this block reference, copy this top level block reference to your own page, and then you have your notes. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this back. And bring this back, and there we go. And see, automatically, it changed how it looks. See that? So much better. And I don't know what this is. Oh, it has double. I don't know what's going on here. Let's take a look. Okay, let me fix this. Okay, let's take a look at the fleeting notes. It's great work. This is great. I just love how you're asking yourself questions. Okay, let's take a look at this. Shift click this. Perfect. You got the block URL. Perfect. Perfect. Let's open up permanent notes in the sidebar. And okay, so working environment and then structure. I don't know what is going on here. Okay, let's just take a look at what you did. Okay, so I think what you did is a well-structured, okay, here we go, algorithm. Okay, so what you did was, let me just double check. Okay, I see what you did here. Let me just show you. So basically it's structure, working environment, algorithm, right? And what you want to do is you don't need this, right? What you need is this algorithm at the top level parent block. So algorithm, right? And let's do capital A, by the way, just so it's, I'll change it for you here, just so it's congruent with all the other ones. So algorithm, is that the right spelling? What am I tripping? Why did I think there was a Y in there? Anyways, so this is, and then you see how over here, by the way, if you get rid of the hashtag and you do double brackets, it'll make the CSS look pretty, right? And it's gonna make it shine. And it's just one of the things, I know it's a hashtag over here, but for some reason it's a bracket here, but it is what it is. And so now, I see what you did. You wanted to connect these, but these are already connected, right? It already shows you that this is a branch. Like if you follow this up, the CSS up, it's boom, 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 right? So what you want here, so at the top level block for relevant nodes is the index, but instead of a hashtag, you do it in brackets just so the CSS comes out right. Because if I do this with a hashtag, you see how it turns gray, but if you do it bracket, which leads to the same place, now it has that sort of button look to it. Now what you want to do is you want to connect everything that's connected to algorithm, right? And so now I'll start from the furthest place away from that, and I go happiness, no, facing fear algorithm, understanding algorithm. Let's do understanding. Let's go in. So I'm going to hold Option Alt. I'm going to take that bullet point, and I'm going to bring it underneath relevant notes. So these are children blocks, or these are siblings, right? And where else is algorithm connected? Frailty, control, decision-making algorithm. Look at that. I'll bring that over, and let's do learning algorithm. Why not? Go wild. And influence, motivation, trust, working environment, pursuit, context, structure, writing algorithm. I don't know if that fits, but see, you see how, so now let's go to learning. If I click on learning, now it's learning algorithm. It has all your notes there ready to go, if that makes sense. And this is beautiful, right? And I can traverse down that Zettelkasten like I need to. And so, yeah, so Option Alt, drag that in there, and at the top level block for relevant notes, just the hashtag that you used here on the new permanent note that you added. Everything else looks great. I'm going to get rid of the period. I don't know. Just doing it. Okay, this is looking good. Excellent. And I'm going to do my little thumbs up. Let's take a look. Boom. Perfect. And I think that's good for today. Let's just keep adding permanent notes, and I will see you all. Carol, I think you're still going. Carol, just one last thing. Just change this. Uh-oh, that's a block reference. I see what you did here. I see what you did. Just go to this real quick. Okay, you have it on your captured page, and I'm going to bring it over one more time. So let me go and shift-click. Let me just shift-click on this, put this on your page. Carol, I'm just going to fix this for you real quick, okay? I think I went over this before, but so basically you have all your notes here, but these are all block referencing instead of having the actual. So you want to bring this over here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go and delete this. Right? No, I see what you did. You brought this over though. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. See these? Okay, see these? I'm going to bring those. Okay, I'm going to bring these over to here. Watch what I'm doing. Right? I'm going to bring, these are all now just boom. Right? And I'm going to bring this underneath. You see what I did? Because you want to, so basically you want to work out of the daily notes page, right? This is just a placeholder. This page right here, Carol Leather captured, is just a place to have your permanent notes or your fleeting notes before they've been processed. When you're ready to start processing it, you do a new timestamp for the daily notes page, and then you drag it over there. I don't know where I am. Okay, there we go. Let me just jump in here real quick. I'm going to go and close this out. This looks great. Great work. Great work. That's the block. Perfect. All the abstractions. Let's just open up the permanent notes page. And it looks like trust. You need to trust that your notes will surface when you need them. Okay, perfect. I'm going to go and delete the periods. Just because why not? Perfect. And this is looking good. Extra period there. And then here, you see how this is a hashtag and this is a hashtag. Where is it? Trust. The only reason that I changed this to brackets, right, is that, and I'll get rid of the hashtag, is that now the CSS is going to show up. So if I go to structure here and I go to structure trust, you see how they're all sort of congruently here? It looks like a button. Because check this out. If I go in here and I change this back to, it leads to the same place. I mean, hashtag, you see how it kind of looks weird? Perfect. This looks great. And then you have all the link references there. I'm going to go and do this. And okay, I think we're good for today. Same thing. It's just as we keep adding stuff, I'll just continue to sort of watch everyone's form and technique, and let's keep going. Keep adding permanent notes. Again, go to all the different sources, like read and capture fleeting notes from anywhere now. I think the best thing to do is just have a complete assortment of ideas and notes that you just want to talk about in a group level. And yeah, I think we're going to stop it there for today. And if anyone has any questions, just put it into the chat room. I mean, I'm pretty good at taking a look at that. And just start with your name and then whatever your question is, and we'll just answer it as I go along with a hashtag or something. Yeah, good luck, and I look forward to more and more permanent notes. Let's hit that critical mass. Bye.